Hello, and thanks for tuning in for this episode of the AWS Edge Innovation Spotlight. In this series, we showcase groundbreaking innovation and real-world success stories from our partners to demonstrate the power of the AWS Edge services to accelerate your business. My name is István Pólai, and I lead the AWS Edge partner business across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Today, I'm delighted to be here in our London studio with Kieran Doran, the CEO of M2A Media.
István, it's a pleasure to be here as always.
Thank you. Kieran, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about M2A and what you do?
M2A Media specializes in live video distribution using the AWS Cloud and the AWS Elemental services. We accelerate anybody who's got live content, we accelerate their journey to the cloud. How we do that is providing a platform which makes it easy. We imagine if you've got a live event and you need to get it to a number of either different broadcasters or other organizations that need that live content. We've created a platform, the M2A Nexus console, which allows the user, not necessarily an engineer, be able to access all the elements that they need to take live content from A to B. You can set up one workflow or multiple workflows. You could do it, I could do it if we just log on and get our AWS account. And it's one thing to set up workflows that are either simple or complex, but what we specialize in mostly is with live, multiple, concurrent, complex workflows. So for example, when you've got a live football match that needs to get to a number of different broadcasters around the world in different formats, and also getting to a company that does the social media clipping and maybe another organization that does the overdubbing in multiple languages. We help by orchestrating all of those workflows for one live event at the same time. And we can automate them as well so that they fire up, they spin up a half an hour or an hour before the live event, and the operators can manage the event and then shut the systems down.
Thank you. This sounds very interesting. I think this is a key component of live streaming to help with the scheduling of these resources. Tell me about how it all started. What was the initial innovation that led to the current service?
Well, the two original founders of M2A Media were right at the heart of live streaming and VOD with a major British broadcasting organization some years ago. And in 2016, they set up M2A Media to be able to bring this knowledge and technology to other organizations around the world. Back in 2016, when you're a first mover, a lot of the work was fairly bespoke. So a broadcaster or a large sporting organization would want the system to work their way, and then the next customer would want it to work their way. So we grew steadily and securely over the years, but it was very much a big, solid business. Now what's changed is that there are a lot of other customers out there in the market really wanting to accelerate their move to the cloud. So we have to bring it down to a scale where we can use it from not just tier 1 broadcasters, but tier 2 to 10 broadcasters and sports rights owners. So in this last year that I've been on board, we've changed our philosophy to now offer a pay-as-you-go SaaS-like service. So you can have simple workflows for $5 an hour or 15 or 25, whatever the workflow entails. And the difference is that the market has moved because a lot more people want to get on board. They want to move away from satellite services, fiber point-to-point services, and move away from those expensive services to using the cloud. Then we have to make it easy for them. So our motto is simple, scalable, and secure. We need to make not only the technology simple, but the pricing simple. We need to make it scalable so that those clients can actually increase the number of events that they're doing. And the secure part isn't just about security of the content with digital rights management and all sorts of other watermarking tools that stop the pirates. It's about having the confidence in what we do. Our team are supposed to be the live video cloud experts. And what we're offering to the market is that confidence that when you come with us and you say that it's going to cost you $15 an hour, it does.
There are, I guess, a number of different ways you can do live streaming on the cloud and even on AWS, but obviously M2A Media has been very successful with your way of doing it. What do you think is the special sauce? What is making this difference?
There's a number of different reasons. As a first mover way back 10, 12 years ago, we have gained a lot of trust in the market. When a new customer comes to you because they've heard about you and they say to you, we know you can scale, and we trust you, those are magical words. But if you look at what we actually do in the cloud, I think the two biggest things are orchestration and automation. Yes, you can automate one workflow, but can you automate multiple workflows at the same time?
Hundreds of them.
Hundreds of them, thousands of them at the same time. Remember, we're doing more than 6,500 live events every single month with only a limited number of operators, not because we're limited in operators, but because you don't need them. We've got eyes and glass all around the world, 24/7. Then you need a system that you can totally trust to be able to give you the alerts, the alarms, give you the information you need at a moment's notice. So each of these operators that are watching the live events, they're spinning up a computer in the cloud, they're loading the services on there, they're managing and running the game that's going through that, as well as the backup, the redundancy path at the same time. They're taking the services off it and running it down. And it's the trust that those services that are running are automated to only work during the hours that they are. And the operators on top are making sure that they deliver that security, that confidence, that feeling of security to the customer. I think that's some of the special sauce.
Even in the automation, the massive amount of automation you do, it sounds like it's a fairly complex workflow. How are you able to price this, and how are you able to simplify pricing? Because I think simplicity in pricing is still key for your customers, right?
That's definitely the case right now. Way back when we started, that first mover advantage is now gone. That first mover, let's work together in a partnership and build something for you. Those types of customers were able to pay large sums of money, kind of like a professional services type arrangement. But that's changed. That's changed dramatically in recent years. Customers are looking for security of price. When I talk about security, I'm meaning confidence in what price they're getting. So we offer workflows at $5 an hour, $15 at $25. It could be a simple workflow taking content just from point to point, which is often what you get with satellite services and fiber point to point. And what this is doing, an SRT service, for example, point to point, you can do that in the cloud so easily these days. Or you might need encoding to get to a different format. You might need a different resolution in a different part of the world. So all the services are priced differently, of course, depending on the workflow. But once they're priced, it's a straightforward $15 an hour. And then you can easily measure, if my game is 90 minutes, my fire up time is 30 minutes, that's 2 hours. I've got 1 hour to do the punditry and the closing down of the football match. That's 3 hours. Now, if I've got 20 workflows and they're all different, of course, they're going to have different prices per workflow, but you know that it's going to be 3 hours times any of those, which is magical for production teams because they then know exactly what their return on investment is. They're able to price the whole of the event much more simply.
I guess it solves actually two problems. One is you simplify the fairly complex cloud workload cost for your customers, which if they wanted to do themselves would be overwhelming. And secondly, you make it comparable to the old world when they were using satellites and fibers, right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things that we're doing now is replacing more expensive services because people are beginning to, it's not beginning actually, we're a number of years into trusting the fact that cloud services can actually deliver the same level of quality, the same level of security and confidence that not just in the pricing, but actually this delivery method can actually replace satellite and fiber.
You mentioned scale, you mentioned cost control, and obviously this is music to our ears and for us cloud people, and especially at AWS. And you mentioned using a few of the AWS services already. Now, what we love to do on my team is build what we call a better together story, where 1 + 1 = 3 or even more. And I believe it goes beyond the services that you use from AWS. So what do you think is the special sauce or this accelerator that our partnership brings to the table?
Oh, that's a difficult question because there's so many different areas. People often ask me at trade shows, why do you only work with AWS? Well, actually, AWS was the organization that paid attention to media and entertainment.
Right.
By acquiring Elemental in, 10 years ago now? I think it's the 10th anniversary. Great move because all of those services are the ones that we use, AWS Live, Connect, packaging, and we orchestrate all of those within our services to the organizations that we serve. But there's more to it than that. There's the reach that AWS is able to offer, the connections in local markets. We started doing business in Japan a few years ago, and the customer that was interested there got a huge amount of help from the AWS representatives on the ground in Japan. And now our services are spreading out in Japan to other customers. They're in Japanese. And so when you get asked at a trade show, where are you based? It no longer matters where you're based. We're a global company. We can operate in many different languages. If we can work from Europe to the other side of the world with Japan and get the big rugby leagues and football leagues onto our services, then that's proof.
Excellent. Now, I want to move to a slightly different area. AI is something that these days comes up in pretty much every customer conversation we have. And at AWS, we want to definitely double down on helping our customers benefit from this technology. But I also know that M2A Media, for you guys, this is core to what you do as well. I wanted to get your take on how this technology helps the industry and how you use it for your services.
I want to say, do you want the honest opinion or the hype? I think the hype's going.
I'd like your honest opinion today.
Honest is that about a year ago, I think I was a little bit of a skeptic because of the hype that was there. But I think that quickly turned around the turn of the year, at the beginning of the year. And we realized, whoa, wait a minute, we've got an opportunity here. This isn't a challenge. The hype that AI is going to take over the world and people are losing their jobs. Yeah, that might happen. But if you look at the studies, I think there's more jobs going to be created. So we introduced what we call a 4-pillar strategy for AI in the company, each one taking it nice and steadily, where we introduce AI to development, to operations, to client-facing services, and to, let's say, the corporate admin of the world, whether it's the finance side of the business or the sales and marketing side. AI tools can help us create marketing assets a heck of a lot faster, and it can help us analyze databases for sales. But going back to the development and the client services, getting AI tools, using the AWS AI tools to help us accelerate parts of our development process is the goal. Using those AI tools to help better understand how our customers are using our services by looking at the past. By the way, we operate, on top of our products that we sell to customers, we operate a managed service for clients around the world. You don't have to use it, but you can. We've got an operation in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, a master control room in London, and one in Portland, Oregon. So we've got 24/7 eyes on glass around the world. That's important when you're running several thousand live events through your system every month.
Wow.
And we've got humans actually watching the monitoring systems, checking the video. But being able to use AI tools to start looking at the patterns of, if this is what happened in the schedule in the past and this is what's coming up, can we start to understand what might go wrong or what might be a better service to offer the customer and things like that. So yes, AI is not changing it through a rocket through the company, but nice and steadily in the different parts.
I see. You mentioned a couple of customer use cases, the one in Japan, for example. I know you have a number of fantastic cases in my patch as well as across the pond. Is there one that that you are particularly proud of that you could mention, just to give our viewers a use case?
Well, it's quite funny. It's like asking me what's my favorite whiskey or what's my favorite Beethoven symphony. The last one, the last win that we got in terms of a customer is often the sweetest one. But we work with customers ranging from the likes of DAZN, who we did the Club World Cup for this year. We were the primary head end for them. And although that was only 63 games inside 4 weeks, we had something like 1.2 billion encoded minutes, 600 million minutes of rendered packages. But the sweet number that I always remember is that within that 4-week period, we spun up and spun down just shy of 100,000 instances in data centers all over the world for inside 4 weeks to deliver the Club World Cup securely. And I have to say, it went without a hitch, not complete without a hitch, but no big hitches. Of course, there's always, that's the beauty of live. That's the adrenaline of live video content, live sports. There's always going to be something which keeps you going. One of the little things about the Club World Cup was we didn't realize was that within, I can't remember exactly how many, but within a number of miles of a stadium, if there's a thunderstrike, then they have to get the players off the pitch. And that happened on one of the events. It's like, oh my goodness, what do we do now? Change the schedules. But that's the beauty of working with a live system in the cloud. You can hold it, and we had to wait for over 2 hours for play to re-begin, restart. and
Excellent.
everything went smoothly.
Was your AI able to predict the winners of the games as well?
Well, we had an internal competition, and I have to say, I have no idea which foot to kick a ball with, so
Oh,
I just picked
see.
one of the random teams. I think I got Dortmund, who went out just after the first round.
Okay, fair enough. We talked about how it all started and what was the initial thought and idea that started building your current service stack, right? What is it that you see today is top of mind for customers? What is the next thing for customers that you're hearing?
The next thing, well, we specialize only in live, and we've got no plan to move out of that. So if it's live video content where the adrenaline rush is, and you need to get your content A to B securely, that's where we focus, and that's where we're going to stay. The big things are that simplicity, as I said, and scalability and security. But let's look at simplicity and security. The simplicity of being able to access our platform, our Nexus console, go onto the map, literally a map of the world, and say my live feed is coming out of New York. I need to get it to Singapore, to Tokyo, and to Sydney. And I need the one to Sydney to be encoded. I need the one to Tokyo to be changed in format, to a different video format. And I need the one to wherever just to be the same. And very quickly, within minutes, get to the point where your workflows are completely configured and you know the price. Why is that important? Because more and more, the customers that are using these services are less and less technical. They need to understand that if I've got, let's say, a football game is 90 minutes. Let's ignore the fact that it might go more. It's 90 minutes. You have a 30-minute pre-run. You've got a 30 minutes afterwards for the pundits to talk about the game, and then 30 minutes to wind it down. There's 3 hours. Imagine if a producer knows that those 3 hours are costing me $15 an hour, $5 an hour, $25 an hour. Now I know my cost base. Now I can be confident to be able to distribute that around the world at a secure price. That's what we're meaning by security. That's the kind of things that customers are really looking for. And it's important to us because it widens the market base and it allows us to accelerate even more customers to take their live products to the
Right. So that was going to be my next question. What does the future hold for you? How do you accommodate these changes and that trend that you mentioned?
Well, 2025 was a good year for us. The last couple of years have been a little bit unstable, not just for us, but throughout the market.
Yeah.
There's been this idea that the adoption to cloud has hit a brick wall. Well, it all depends who you talk to, because
it didn't.
it didn't. We're not seeing that.
Right.
We're seeing a much, much more buoyant market now, certainly given the recent trade show experiences that we've had. It's a very buoyant market. A lot of customers like the idea of simplicity. They like that they can securely grow with us. They can scale with us. So we're looking forward to 2026. We've had a huge influx of new attention to us in recent times with the trade shows, and that we're really looking forward to.
Thank you, Kieran. This was very, very interesting.
Thank you, Ispan. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Unfortunately, this wraps it up for today's episode of the AWS Edge Services Innovation Spotlight. To our viewers, if you are interested in more episodes and more innovation stories like this, please look for the other episodes of this series, and please reach out so we can connect and follow up on any of your questions.